Welcome to the best gambling show on the internet. This is the home of the money pick. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Let me know in the live chat how the stream is doing. I feel like my internet is slow. I'm not sure what's going on. I hope everyone's doing good. Good to see Lauren in the chat. Good to see Mike in the chat. Always great to see you guys. What's up, Jose? What's up, Matt? I hope you're having a great week. Yeah, I do agree this is a hard week. And this feels like a wedge week because next week we got a ton of big games. And at the very worst, with big games, we know we're going to get consistent performances out of teams. With some of these games, though, I feel like there's three we need to go hard on, and that's where I'm at. Like, I don't think I'm going to have 5 or 6 bets. I've been looking at teasers all day. I don't know about you guys, but every time I find a tease option, I just can't get into it. But we'll talk about that as the show goes on. And let me know if everything's working on my end. Like, my shit is lagging for some reason on StreamYard. Yeah, so what's everyone up to? Man, for me, man, I just want to start with this Bengals Texans game. I'm concerned by the injury report for the Texans. Like, I know all the talk has been about the Bengals injury report. T. Higgins is out. I mean, when we saw him hit the injury report on Wednesday, that's never a good thing. Especially, I don't think he was on it going into the week. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. Listen, it looks like Jamar Chase is going to play, and we all know what's looming for the Bengals. They get the Ravens Thursday night. We know that's a big game, and we know they're going to need to be full strength for it. So, yeah, man, I'm doing good, man. I'm looking forward to talking about that game. Yeah, I when I'm looking at this Bengals Texans game, I guess my question is, do we need to bet it? And plus, I did see the Texans move down to plus 6.5 today. That was a little bit of a surprise. I guess it's because of T. Higgins' reaction. I'm assuming Jamar Chase is going to play. Now, it looked earlier in the week like he wasn't going to play. I'm assuming he's going to play. Now, let's just get to some of these injuries for the Texans. Last I checked, they had 22 guys on the report. So the kicker is out. We saw that tragic half point last week and what that meant for us. Obviously, they bring a new kicker in, but Fairbairn's pretty good. I think that'll have some sort of impact, not a lot. Nico Collins is out. I mean, listen, Stroud's been using 6-7 different receivers a game, so I'm not sure how much that's going to change things, but it is a little bit of a concern. Dameon Pierce out again. Now, here's where it gets tricky, man. Here's where it gets tricky. They're really low on linebackers. Like, I can't even say his name, Totu from Alabama. Listen, he's going to be out of the game. They haven't ruled him out yet. So we're looking at Jimmy Ward probably missing the game. We're looking at Stingley and MJ Stewart on injured reserve. So, I mean, this is the battle of walking wounded. And I'll still go Kansas. I'll still go with the Bengals this game. Not getting swayed by that. And Stroud's been brilliant, man. But this Bengals defense has also been brilliant. So that's where I'm going, man. I'm going Bengals. I'm not really getting pushed off that. I just don't think we should be betting that one. You understand what I'm saying? Because I think we could see Stroud go off and we could see Stroud come in for a late cover. I would not rule that out. That's why I'm not betting it. So, okay, the stream's good. What's up, Gus? What's up, Mike Stacks? What's up, Steve Terry? What's up, Brian Webb? What's up, Ron? College basketball starting? I didn't even know that. That's good, I guess, for the college basketball guys. Yeah, man, and my chat, man. Well, Jared, yeah, I don't have the Coke ready. It's in the freezer right now, so that's what we're doing. What's up, JJ? What's up, Cool Breeze? Have the Ravens really done me all that dirty? Listen, Lauren agreed last week. She was on the Hawks. Listen, man, at a certain point, you have to make a stand. And like I posted on Instagram, listen, it depends how you view a team every week. That's going to change. But at a certain point, to make money betting, you have to take a stand and say, okay, is this team as good as the public thinks they are? And that's where I'm at with the Ravens. I just don't think they're all that good. And I saw you guys talking about that in the chat before the show started. I'm not sure they're all that good, man. And I'm not sure the Browns don't cover this week. I'm looking for a better performance out of the Browns. Now, with the Browns, you always have to worry about Deshaun Watson. I'm worried about it. Don't get me wrong. Do I worry about Kevin Stefanski? I do. But I do wonder, are the Ravens peaking a little bit too early? What implications is it that they're playing the Bengals on Thursday? I think that's something that's very interesting. I think that's something that is very interesting aspect for this Bengals-Texans game and this Ravens-Brown game. And also, I do want people to take a deep breath. We've seen some pretty poor Browns performances this year. There's no way around it. There's no way to spin it. But when you look at it, what are the Ravens 7-2? Browns are 5-3. So when I'm looking at this, like, I don't think there's this massive gulf between the teams. I don't. That's where I'm at, man. And I felt like I had to roll the dice with the Hawks last week. But yeah, man, I don't know if I'll be able to roll the dice with the Browns this week. Some of the stuff the Ravens have been doing is pretty impressive. Not going to lie. Not going to lie. What's up, Beats 88? Yeah, man, let's get it, man. 10 baseball. What's up? What's good, Lawson? You back in the USA? No, I will be traveling this Thursday. I'll be for Thanksgiving and all of that. So coming back soon. This is my last week. And I think that's like one reason why I think I'm going hard on 3 games this week. And then just wait until Thanksgiving. We bet everything on Thanksgiving every year. Last year, we were undefeated on Thanksgiving, even if you include the over-unders. Looking forward to that. This is always kind of like a stall week in the NFL betting for me, for the channel, like this week 10, week 11, and then people get back up once we get Thanksgiving, and then we're ready to ride. Time served. Need some winners. My can't beat good teams. Fins are off. So let's bet. Yeah, I mean, you know, and then the Fins make that comeback, and then they can't even take a snap. It does feel like there's something mental with the Dolphins, man, and you got to be able to take a snap. And when I saw it going into the fourth quarter with the Dolphins not even scoring yet, I was just like, yeah, man, they didn't show up. But there's no excuse. There's no excuse. Okay, here we go. Stevie Ray, you rock. John, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. My chat is absolutely horrendous tonight. So if I miss your question, let me know. The Sticks, what's up, Sticks? What's up, Lawson? How rusty do you think Kyle Murray is going to be? That's one thing I've been thinking about this whole week. I've been thinking about this Falcons game, and I've been thinking about, are the Falcons going to respond? But I'm also thinking about, what are the Cardinals going to do? And listen, I think it's going to be a big upgrade for the Cardinals. And like I was mentioning on Tuesday's video, I feel like the Cardinals have a lot of good receivers to throw to, like low-key options. Like we all know Marquise Brown is a stud, but they got guys like Dortch who always gets open. They got Zach Ertz. So when I'm looking at this, man, I think it's a big upgrade for the Cardinals. And my biggest question is, are the Falcons going to play better football? I mean, they were so bad against the Minnesota Vikings. I don't know if any of you guys watched that game or saw bits and pieces in Red Zone. They were just terrible. I mean, they had 3 straight drives where they pretty much committed unforced errors that led to turnovers. So I think that I'm sticking. Listen, when I look at Kyler Murray, man, I think he's going to make 3 or 4 gigantic plays. Can we say the same about this Falcons offense? I'm not sure. And this whole Bijan Robinson situation with the Falcons is starting to bother me, man. And I do think people were getting a little bit carried away with the Tampa game. Like, I honestly think he had like a migraine or he had a stomach bug that game. Felt like people got a little bit carried away. But there were other games this year where I felt like Arthur Smith has let his team out to dry with the play calling, with the decisions, with the usage of Bijan Robinson. So, man, I think the Cardinals are poised to win the game. I think they're poised because I think Kyler Murray will at very least make 3 or 4 big plays. The new Call of Duty is coming out this week, so we'll see how that affects the game. I think Kyler Murray will be pretty good. And this Atlanta Falcons defense, they are starting to fade. They are starting to fade. I don't know if you've noticed, they do seem a little bit beaten. They spent a ton of time on the field. Like I really do feel like they're starting to fade. Okay. Yeah, Deshaun Watson never beat the Ravens. Yeah, but man, I don't. It's just like I don't really look into stuff like that. I like at a certain point, like I don't think an NFL player, the highest paid player in the league, is like scared of the Ravens or anything like that. I just think it's because he wasn't on very good teams. But that's where I'm at, man. Yeah, man. But okay. At a certain point in this league, not everything is a straight line. There's ups and downs. There's valleys. So obviously we're seeing the Ravens peak, and I think they've reached their highest point. Now, if you're gambling in stocks, if you're investing in stocks, do you want to put your money when it's at its highest point, or do you want to put it when it's at its lowest point? Obviously, you want to put it at its lowest point. That's why I just had a problem where I think 6.5 is an awful big point spread for, like some people said, divisional game. Browns got a really good defense. If you watch that first matchup, there wasn't much between the teams. The Browns had a backup quarterback who had 12 hours notice he was playing. So it just depends where you want to buy. I mean, you could keep buying the Ravens at their highest point. I just don't know if I would suggest that. Now, it's not like Vegas is giving us a +9 or +10 Browns where it would be very, very appealing, but still think 6 is a lot for the defense, the caliber of the Browns, man. I still think it is a lot. Yeah, Jose, I'm loving the Steelers this week. I'm loving the Steelers this week. Jared, I bet normally like $400, $500 a game. That's how much I bet normally. Okay, here we go. Yeah, man. Daniel, Indy and Atlanta are fighting for playoff contention against teams that are playing for the draft. New England, Zona. Is this a trap? Both games are basically pick-ems. Well, I don't know if it's a trap, but I would like to add in that Patriots game, we could see Bill the Hoodie Belichick fighting for a job. Because let's think about this Patriot situation. Now, okay, we're the most skeptical group on the internet about Bill Belichick the last 3 or 4 years, correct? But even we would say he's still a very good coach. My issue has been the GM and the player personnel aspect of this Patriots team. That's been my issue. So obviously, I think Robert Kraft, when it gets to the end of the year, he's going to be like, listen, Bill, we got to get a GM in here, man. Whether it's an old guy you worked with or Michael Lombardi, we got to get some sort of GM in here just to give some sort of counterbalance. These last 5-6 drafts just haven't been good enough. You know, these free agent signings haven't been good enough. And I don't think Bill's going to take that lightly. So I think Bill will probably not be the Patriots head coach. So I do think in a way the Patriots are playing for Bill's job, but I don't think it makes a damn bit of difference. Because like we said about the Colts last week, they consistently move the ball up and down the field. And I don't see anything changing. Now, am I going to get too excited about them whipping the Carolina Panthers' ass? No. But like we've been saying all year about the Colts, Steichen is a good young coach. The offense is consistent. The defense can be pretty good at times. And I just feel like the Colts are a more consistent team. The thing I worry in that Colts-Patriots game is I worry more about who reacts better to the international game. Really? Like, I worry about shit like field condition. I worry about shit like that more than the Patriots responding. Mac Jones has looked a little bit better the last 2 or 3 weeks. I don't think I'm off on that, but that's not saying an awful lot. So when I look, I'm still going Colts, man. I'm still going Colts. Colts money pick. It is dangerous, but this is the NFL. This is week time. Okay, here we go. Yeah, man, my bad. Jose Villagomez with the super chat, $20. Thank you, my friend. Cardinals, Seahawks, and Steelers seem to be the safest bets. Your thought? I'm still considering the Bengals. I was actually surprised by something when I opened up the bet distribution today. I saw 80% of the bets were on the Seahawks, something along those lines. I was surprised. Like, I don't think this is a terrible bounce back situation for the Seahawks. I would just be a little bit cautious with that. I think the Steelers are a damn safe bet. Although, like, nothing is ever safe in this league, as you know, my friend. And the Cardinals is a cheeky play. I'm just staying away from that Falcons-Cardinals game because, like one of the guys in the chat said, I mean, this is kind of an Alamo game for the Falcons. Season borderline on the line, even in that shit crap division. So I did have the Cardinals on Tuesday. I'm not wavering off of them. I just don't know if I'd put my hard-earned money on that. Steelers, I do think will dominate the Packers. This was one I expected to move the -3.5. I was surprised it didn't. But also, like, I do like the way the 49ers are looking coming into this game against the Jags. I would ask you to consider that. And sometimes, man, listen, I will bet favorites. I will bet -7s, -6.5, but it's not something I like to do. And then if you're feeling frisky this week, can we have a discussion about the Buffalo Bills? I saw the Buffalo Bills are down to -7. And man, I think this is a good time to get on the Bills at Alamo. I mean, we've been against the Bills all year and it's been advantageous to us. Like, haven't we? Haven't we? I mean, we've been against the Bills this whole year, but now I kind of feel like we're going to see a little bit of the Bills revival. I mean, can we be honest about something? Am I being melodramatic or in a soap opera when I say the Bills season's on the line this week, guys? Am I wrong? Am I wrong? So, and I know both teams are coming off the bye. I know the Broncos have been playing better defense, but there is something appealing about the Bills this week. And, you know, we heard about that players-only meeting called by Latavius Murray. That's never good news. Never is. But they got just too much horsepower and dogs. I feel like they could blow away the Broncos. And Broncos on the road, Midwest to Buffalo. I'm not liking the Broncos' chances this game. I'm not sure why why people aren't focusing on that more. Okay, here we go. Time served. $5 super chat. Thank you, my friend. I'm laying 500 on one game. Who is it? And any soccer. That Southampton pick was great. I mean, we've been killing it with the soccer. Soccer will be up. I'm thinking about 3 soccer bets for this weekend on Patreon. I mean, I think we're 7-1 in our last 8. I'm not going to promise that type of return, especially since we bet like plus 160s, plus 120s quite a bit. I mean, this isn't like the minus 110 NFL bets. So yeah, I will put the soccer picks up tonight. We will have 3 or 4 of those up on Patreon. I will go 49ers, man, because I've been in situations like this with the 49ers since I started this show, and they have all the things I look for. Most of the time, they're consistent. I know I'm going to get good coaching. I know a coach isn't going to cost me the game. Now, if you were laying 6 with the 49ers, I've seen Shanahan cost us in those situations. But in a -3 situation, I like them, and I get it. It's risky. You're going into the Florida Heat. Trevor Lawrence is playing phenomenal football, but I'm looking at one matchup in that 49ers-Jags game. I'm looking at one matchup. That 49ers offensive line, that Jags offensive line against the 49ers defensive line. I think the 49ers defensive line completely dominates proceedings. Deebo Samuel back. Looks like Trent Williams will play. Someone correct me in the chat if I'm wrong. But yeah, that's what I would do. Yeah, hit the like button, share the videos. Okay, yeah, man, I'm slow on the comments, so I've been slow to get to them. Let's get to the Patreon questions. Nicholas Vincent, what's up, Nick? Hey, Lawson, do you think the Bengals still get the win with Higgins being out and Chase questionable? Yes, I do. I do think they win. Let me just write something. Patreon questions start at 20-minute mark. Okay, so listen, I like I said earlier in the show, I feel like, listen, I know the Bengals are the big team. I know the Bengals are national news, but the Texans are also coming in here limping. And one reason why we lost that half-point bet last week was because Texans lost 4 starters on defense during the game, lost a kicker, lost an offensive lineman. And I feel like this Texans defense is absolutely depleted. Now I'm banking on Jamar Chase playing. Even if he doesn't play, I still think the Bengals get out of there with a win. And I love Stroud, and we know how good Stroud is. We've been hyping that up the whole year. It's just, there's only so much he can do. Maybe Robert Woods comes back. Like I've said about the Texans, as long as I see Tank Dell out there, I feel like they're a dangerous entity, and they are a dangerous entity. But this Texans defense has been fading the last 3 weeks, and I don't want to see Burrow at home in Ohio if I'm having defensive issues, whether it be health or performance issues. So listen, the spread's up in the air. You can go whichever way with that. I don't feel like there's any edge. But you got to say the Bengals win the game. And also, the Bengals are chasing the Ravens, man. I don't think they're going to be fucking around. If they were fucking around, I think they would have ruled Jamar Chase out of this game. Don't you think, Nick? Don't you think, Nick? So, yeah, Debo's a go, right? Cool breeze. Rico, Vikings will beat the Saints. Yeah, am I the only one who's getting a little bit less hot on that as the week goes on? Okay, Robert Clark, professional bettors are waging on the Saints. Okay, does that even mean anything at this point? Yeah. We were on the Saints last week and they got a push. So, Bears turned it over 5 times and they couldn't even take care of business there. We got the Saints against the Colts. But, the Saints are an inconsistent outfit. Let's be honest about it. Dave, Patreon bets will be up about 9:30, 10 p.m. Eastern after the show. And then I have a little while to think about it. Okay, so let's get to the next Patreon question. Joseph Ware. Can't wait to see the greatest show of all. Thanks, Joe. I appreciate it, Joe. A kid named Coop. What's good, Lawson? Resident Texans fan, despite the bad beat. What's your thoughts on that C.J. Stroud masterclass to get the win over the Bucs last week? Also, how's your excitement level for the third Texans versus Bengals matchup, despite the injury report for both sides? I got to say, the injury report for both sides, it's not really dampening my excitement. It's more or less dampening my excitement to bet it. Because when I saw Texans +7, I was like, okay, yeah, that's one we can bet. I was looking forward to it. And then I sat down and looked at the injury report Tuesday morning before the vid. I'm like, I don't know, man. I mean, D'Amico's been working miracles, but I don't know if he can you do a Noah's Ark, so to speak. But about Stroud, man, haven't we been calling that the whole year? I mean, I do want us to take a little bit of a victory lap with that CJ Stroud performance. It was an absolute masterclass. I'm glad you are adopting the word. I don't think there's another word for it. And I got to be honest, I think that might have been the best quarterback performance like I've seen since Brady or Mahomes going off. And I don't think we've seen a Mahomes performance like that regular season. I'm not talking playoffs. I don't think we've seen a quarterback performance like that in 3 or 4 years. I got to be honest. Like this Tampa Bay defense, listen, we knew we could get a little bit of an edge against them, but to put up 45 or damn near 50 without a kicker like they did, it just shows the emotional moxie of that team. And that whole game, the Texans back were against the wall. Stroud comes out, throws a dart to Dalton Schultz for a 3rd and 12, first down, first drive. Schultz fumbles it, back up against the wall, throws another first down to Tank Dell. Tank Dell drops it. And these were all within the first drive. So when you look at this Stroud performance, I think it was kind of like, you know how like a dog goes to the park and pisses on everything to mark their territory? I kind of feel like it's similar to that. Like he's not going anywhere. He's going to be a staple in this league. And he pretty much answered every question. Coop, I know you're a Texans fan, so I'm probably preaching to the choir. But one thing that impressed me so much about that Tampa Bay performance, Vita Vea, what's his name? Shaq, were getting lots of pressure on him, and he was stepping up in the pocket, rolling right, getting hit, and still throwing darts. Like his pocket presence in that game was absolutely phenomenal and something not enough people are going to talk about. Canyon Wiz, 7-1 on our teaser. Let's get it. 4-team, 13-point teaser. I will post that tonight like we do every week. Yeah, man, 7-1 on them the whole year. Give me a little while to think about it like normal. If anyone wants to ride that, it's on Patreon. It's on the question list. I'll be commenting that. 7-1 this year on the 13-point teaser. Not bad, man. Not bad with the volatility. Dave, is it time to fade the Jets? I don't know, man. I don't know. Their defense only gave up like 135 yards to Herbert, one of the better quarterbacks in the league. Now, we all know the Chargers are a hot mess. And we all did see, you start the game, punt return, Zach Wilson's driving, throws a quick screen to Garrett Wilson, fumbles. Like, we all saw how that game went. I just think we have to respect the defense a little bit. Like I was talking to anyone who would listen, new coach bounce last week with the Raiders. I said it would make a difference. We saw what they did to the Giants. I just don't know if I think the Raiders are going to beat the Giants. Like I'm still going Jets. Still going Jets. And yeah, Zach Wilson's dreadful, Lauren. I mean, I guess that's what makes it complicated. Because there is a possibility Aiden O'Connell plays better than Zach Wilson. And there could be a possibility Zach Wilson is just mentally done. His physical play isn't all that great to start with. But it could be a case if he's just like mentally folded. So, yeah, man. Okay, let's get to the questions. Okay, Black and Yellow 517. What's up, Lawson? Let's get this money. It's been a minute since I've been able to watch live. I went big on the 49ers this week. I can't blame you, my friend. And nice to see you, bro. I haven't seen you in maybe 6-7 weeks. Always great to see you guys. Hound. Okay, the Hound says Trent Williams is a game time decision. Okay. Thank you, Hound. I got a little bit excited when I saw the report today from Rappaport that he practiced these last 2 days. Yeah, I don't know if you can bet on the Jets at this point. Yeah, there's no hope for Zach Wilson. But didn't we say that his rookie year, yet they keep carting him out there? Quacked. Do my Raiders win at home Sunday night? I want to see them go on a playoff run. I don't, but I think it's going to be a much better performance. Listen, I think the spread is correct in this game. I think the Jets slight favorites. I want to see that Las Vegas home field actually turn into a home field. Listen, I've always liked the Raiders. I've always liked the Raiders fans. I think it's probably the best fan base in this league, to be completely honest. But that Las Vegas field always has a little bit of a neutral vibe. You guys know what I'm saying? You always see like 40-50% of the seats are the other team's fans traveling in on $99 flights to go to Vegas. And that's my main issue with it. And then also, like, it is Aiden O'Connell. It is Aiden O'Connell, and I don't want to disrespect this Jets defense. I mean, because if you look at how they played last week against the Chargers, like, we got to give them a lot of credit, and they're probably the most consistent defense in this league. It's going to be a close game, though. And you never know if the Jets, if their offense is the Jets offense going to show up? Probably not. So I think it's going to be an ugly game. I love the under in that, even though it's like 36.5, 37.5. Charles Kaiser, any teasers this week? Vikings, Chargers, +9, 6-point teaser. I would lay off those two teams for the teasers. I would lay off. Like, my teaser list is like this. I'd think about the Bills. I would think about the Raiders. I would think about the Bengals if you're bringing them down to like -1 to win the game. I would think about the Ravens to bringing them down -1 to win the game. But the ones I like the most are like Bills, Raiders. I like those. Like, I do feel like there is a little bit of risk with my Vikings. I don't know if I'm being ignorant about this, but don't you guys kind of fear the Saints putting on a good performance? But don't you guys kind of fear like the Saints coming out and playing well? Like, because they didn't play good last week, but they still forced 4 or 5 turnovers. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, teasers are always good, man. Teasers are always good. Mike Stack says Steelers are the biggest bet of the year. Love them so much. Yeah, unless we see something completely unnatural from the Packers, I kind of agree with you. It wouldn't be my biggest bet of the year, but I think it's worth a bet. It's a money pick. Can't disagree with you one iota on that. I am kind of curious what you guys are thinking about doing with that Colts-Patriots game. I mean, does the game being in Germany kind of scare you guys? That's really the only thing that scares me. That game being in Germany, and we know how those international games tend to go. Okay. If so, big bro, how and when do we beat the odds with Vegas? What's the methods? How do we come with an accurate spread that beats what the books determine? Forgive me, I'm determined. Well, for one, you have to stay consistent. And I posted on Instagram it wasn't like a limerick or riddle, but I just pretty much posted this on Instagram that, you know, a lot of people will change their views on teams week to week. How we've made money for these 4 years is being consistent. And you can't let one performance from a team sway you. You can't get emotional in this. And sometimes you have to take chances. For instance, we took the chance with fading the Bills the whole year. Did people say I was an idiot? Yeah. Did they? Yeah. How do I look now with that? How many spreads have we covered against them? How did that Bengals bet taste last week? On the other side, I love the Browns. I love the Browns. Am I crazy? Maybe. But the way I look at teams, my point value assigned to the Browns is higher than most of the general public. Like, Vegas does follow me a little bit with that, but even they're starting to lose confidence. So that would be my main advice. Like, you have to, at a certain point, draw the line in the sand and say, listen, man, I'm not letting one thing, I'm not letting one game, I'm not letting one injury sway me. I'm staying consistent with the team that I think is the better team. Same thing with the Niners this week. Like, I get it, 3 straight losses. Did we have any of the Niners bets on those 3 games? No, but I understand. Like, 3 straight losses gets in your head. And no one wants to bet the Niners this week and suffer 4. I get it. But at a certain point, you have to draw this line in the sand, and you have to look at this Jags offensive line, and you have to look at a 49ers team that is finally healthy after the bye week. The bye week came at the right time. That's where I'm at. Sometimes you have to make stands that aren't comfortable. I mean, you think it was comfortable for me week 2 or week 3 coming in and saying Buffalo wouldn't win the AFC East and that I don't think Buffalo would make the playoffs? Of course it wasn't comfortable, especially when they pounded the Dolphins. It wasn't, but we have to say what we believe, and sometimes we have to take the ridicule that comes with it. I mean, that's one thing. Like, sometimes, like, I'm not too active on the internet because, for instance, after that Bills-Dolphins game, people are saying, Lost, you don't know ball, or you haven't been a good bettor since you got married. Like, all that junk is bullshit. And at a certain point, was I really wrong about the Bills? And we saw what the Bengals did to them last week. So it's about drawing the line in the sand, man. It's about drawing the line in the sand, and don't be swayed by 1 week. The destiny is over 17 weeks. It's not 1 week. Yeah, and like, listen, like, I've gotten a lot of shit for the Ravens, man, and I get it. I get it. Like, 83% of the public bets are like on the Ravens every week. This week it's 50-50. But every single week, I get it. People love the Ravens. I'm just not. I'm not convinced, man. Like, if the Ravens were like -3.5 this game, of course, like, give me that. Like, we would be betting it. But yeah, man, I've heard some crazy stuff. I've heard some crazy stuff, man. 80 Apes. Hey, Lawson, been a member for over a year. Love the energy and insight always. How confident are you in the Giants covering against Dallas with New York starting Danny DeVito at quarterback? 0%. 0%. How confident are you guys in the chat? I'm at 0%. Listen, man. For me, man, I'm when the spreads get up like that. Firstly, I don't bet them, and secondly, the last time I bet a spread like that was the Jags plus 16.5 against the Colts, the last day of the season. But at least that Jags team had some good qualities, and Lawrence was playing. I can't remember the last time I bet a spread like this. Yeah, it's 0%. I see most of the bets are on the Cowboys. I get it. Giants are terrible. But this Giants defense was performing really good for the last 3 weeks, too. We can't forget that. I mean, but the Cowboys are good front runners. They get out 10-0. They could win the game by 50 points. We get it. So 0%. 0%. That's just where I'm coming down to my fundamentals, where I'm just like 16.5 is too much for an NFL game. You guys can weigh in. I mean, you guys can weigh in the chat. But the fundamentals are you just take the points once it gets up over like fucking 11. So, yeah, man. Yeah, dude, I lived the same life before I was married and after married. Like, I lived the same exact life. So, yeah, man. Yeah, dude, Carlos, blame your wife for the loss. Blame your wife for the loss. Okay, let's get to the next Patreon question. Good chat tonight. Max Evans, can you give us more soccer picks? Yeah, Max, we're coming with 3. We've been hot, 7-1 in the last 8. We're coming, man. We're coming. They'll be up this week. They'll be up Friday night, probably about 10 p.m. Jeremy Wheel, what's up, Lawson? Carolina, is it the coach, Bryce Young, or the team in general? What's causing the dumpster fire? I think it's the owner. But I also think Bryce Young is a flop. And Jeremy, great question. And now let me get into this. So, when you look at David Tepper, he likes firing people. And remember when he hired Matt Rule, he saw the Giants were interested in him, so he outbid the Giants to get Matt Rule. He doesn't do the proper research when he hires coaches. If he watched this show one time last year, whether it be Lauren, whether it be me, whether it be you guys in the chat, we all were saying like Frank Reich sucks. Like, Frank Reich sucks. We saw he lost that locker room the year with Carson Wentz. Everyone blamed Carson Wentz. He comes out, gets Matt Ryan, gets bulldozed. And like I said, his offense is way too simple. They use like 4 or 5 formations when he was with the Colts. And things just haven't got better. I don't think he can motivate men at this point. But we got to start blaming Tepper, the guy who hired him. And not to go too deep into it, Tepper also owns an MLS team. Do I know a lot about MLS? Absolutely not. But he's already fired 2 coaches there this year. And one coach he hired, he worked in Brazil. He inherited a team with a top 5 budget. And in soccer, normally your budget means where you'll finish. So the guy gets the job in Brazil. He brings the team from like 4th place to 17th place, loses his job, then Tepper gives him a job. You see what Tepper's doing? He's just not doing the research or legwork. And there are rumors, and I don't know if you guys believe this in the chat. But I tend to believe it. Tepper wanted Bryce Young instead of CJ Stroud. Like McCown and Frank wanted CJ Stroud. I don't know if that's true, man. I don't know if it's true. And also, it makes you question, Jeremy, to go on another tangent. Aren't you guys kind of sick how everyone's anointing Caleb Williams as like the next fucking Peyton Manning or Andrew Luck? Aren't you guys kind of sick of that? They were anointing him like week 2, and that's what the media did with Bryce Young. So Tepper clenches up because he doesn't do his research, and he just does what the media tells him to do. And Steve Wilkes should have got a chance to coach this football teams. So, like, I don't know about the situation with like Stroud or Bryce Young, who Frank wanted, but they picked Bryce Young, and I think it falls to Tepper's doorsteps now, man. The guy's a weirdo. Yeah, Mike, I got the question on Patreon. Like, you know, I think we all want to forget that game last night, Mike, but listen, man, it's very easy to blame Frank for all of this. But like I said, I had experience with that one coach he hired in soccer. You already knew he should have hired Steve Wilkes. That's where we're at, man. So we get, yeah. Hey, Lawson, Brian Webb, $20 super chat. Thank you for the donation, my friend. Hey, Lawson, let's get this money. I appreciate you and the host on the show again. Shout out to Lauren. Thanks on that KC pick. I love my Bengals this week. I like the Browns. Why Tampa can't shock the world, and 4 good picks. Thank you for the donation, Brian. Yeah, that Tampa Titans game is interesting. I do wonder how Levis is going to play. I do wonder how Levis is going to play, guys. Like, I was pretty encouraged by what we saw against the Steelers. I don't know about you guys, but I was encouraged. Like, that Titans-Steelers game was watchable, unlike the game last night. I haven't been high on the Bucs this whole year, but it doesn't seem like they've quit yet. Next question. Charles Kaiser, how's the weather looking in Jags for Sunday? Someone in the chat, fill him in. I would assume like 75, sunny. I don't think it's going to be anything crazy like 90, 95. Like, I think it's going to be a nice day. Obviously, it's going to be hot, but I don't think it's going to be anything too crazy. I did look at it Tuesday before the video, though, so it wasn't anything out of the norm. I don't think they're getting rain or anything along those lines. One second. Okay, here we go. What? Jesus, this is so. Okay, my bad. Got muted. Okay, here we go. Let's get to the next Patreon question. Matthew Stallworth, what's up, Matt? Lost him. Thoughts on moving the live call into Sunday, a few hours leading into kickoff? Love the show and what you put into your channel. Matt, it's a good idea. And I would love to do it Saturday. One time, I think this was before you started watching the show. It was during the holiday season, near Christmas, near New Year's Day. We did it on Saturday, and it was actually pretty cool. But yeah, man, I will think about it. I do like the Friday because it does help me mentally prepare for the bats that we got to do this week. But yeah, never a bad idea to tinker. Never a bad idea. And Matt, I appreciate it, man. Hey, John, if you take this is from Derek. Hey, John, if you take 2 games off the 7-point teaser, which would they be, if any? Baltimore plus 0.5 point. Cincinnati plus 0.5 point. San Fran plus 4. Dallas minus 10. Seattle plus 1. Buffalo minus a point. Minus 0.5 point. Man, I would probably take Dallas off just because the math of it. Are you really getting that big an advantage going from like 16.5 to 10? Because the Giants give them a scare. It could be a close game. I'm not saying it's going to be a close game. I would take Dallas off. And if I had to take another off, I'm a little bit nervous about Seattle. No science to it, but I'm a little bit nervous about them after what we saw out of Geno Smith last week. A little bit nervous. That's where I'm at on it. Don Parrish, but I like the look of that. I do like the look of that, Derek. I do like that teaser. Don Parrish, what's up, Lawson? Great pick on the Bengals last week. It reinforced my lean. But do you think this is the beginning of the Bills going into obscurity? I do think they're going to have a coaching change at the end of the year. At the very least, they'll have Josh Allen. But I do think they'll have a little bit of a last hurrah. Like, I think they'll beat the Broncos' ass this week. Like, I like the Bills. I think I'm kind of alone on it. But I like the Bills to cover. I like the Bills to win by 2 touchdowns. I think they absolutely come out and pulverize the Broncos team. But this Bills team is missing something. I mean, we've already mentioned it. We mentioned it the whole damn year. I feel like they're not tough enough on the offensive line. They're not coached well enough on offense, and their defense is too small, and you can run it on them. And then plus, you lose lots of guys in the secondary. You lose a dog at corner like Tre'Davious White. They just don't have the replacements, and I don't think they have the heart to fight. I don't. I haven't seen much fight out of them. And I think without a coaching change, this team is going to be stuck in the muddied water. And I don't think just moving Ken Dorsey out is enough, fellas. I don't. But I do think they come out and they're good bullies, man. And that was the thing that was so shocking about the Patriots' loss. I mean, you know, when the Bills are 10-point favorites, 7-point favorites, they're good bullies. You know, if you're not punching back, they'll wear you into oblivion and send you up to outer space with how bad they'll beat you. But if you even punch them back one time, they just fold and they run away. And look at what the Bengals did to them last week. The Bengals offense wasn't even good. Like that was like, I don't know about you guys in the chat, but that was like a C- performance from the Bengals offense, and the Bengals still whooped that ass. And I think that's why, like, throughout the week, we didn't really talk about Burrow. We kind of just talked about this Bengals defense and how tough these guys are. And it proved to be true. Wayne Tripp would also like to know your thoughts on the Bengals injury report. Yeah, I'm concerned about T. Higgins, but I believe Jamar Chase is going to play. To be honest, the more concerning injury report of the two is the Texans. I mean, at one point they had 22 guys on the injury report, and like I said earlier, like we started this D'Amico Ryans bandwagon, we're still on it. I'm just not on it this week with how many injuries they have. And when you look at the Texans roster, there isn't a whole lot of depth there, especially defensively. Like you lose guys, you lose hearts of the defense like Jimmy Ward. Shaq Griffin's banged up at corner. I mean, there's just a ton of injuries for this Texans team. Both linebackers are hurt. I mean, we'll see how they get out there, but we'll see, man. They already have 8 guys ruled out for Sunday. Okay, here we go. Brian DePaul. Welcome to Alamo Week, Lawson Nation. What's up, Brian? Moneyman, would love your rapid fire opinion on the picks in my Pick'em League. All games posted Tuesday and include the hook. Who you got for each? Gotta love the money. Okay, Colts, Pats. I would go Colts. Packers, Steelers. Oh, you guys are using different spreads. So Colts, Pats plus 2.5. I'd go Colts. Steelers, Packers minus 3.5. I'd go Steelers, although who likes that hook when both teams can't score, but go with the Steelers anyways. Texans, Bengals minus 7.5. I'd go Texans there due to that hook, especially due to the late touchdown that could possibly happen. And we know Stroud's not quitting. San Fran, Jags plus 3.5. I go San Fran. I think they win by 10 points. Lions, Chargers plus 1.5. I go Lions. That's the only one I'm changing my pick on this week. I'm going Lions winning the cover. Giants, Boys minus 16.5. I'm going Giants to cover. This is pure fundamentals. You got to pick who you think will win. I mean, I hate betting those 16.5s. Jets, Raiders. I'm going Jets. Like, I know. I saw how bad it was last week. Like, I'm not getting over it, and we understand. But that Jets defense is an absolute juggernaut, and I think that's enough to beat the Raiders on the road. Broncos, Bills with the minus 7.5. I like that. Now it's down to minus 7 for those of us who are betting sooner rather than later. So, yeah, man. I mean, I would like to see some of the feedback in the chat about the Bills because, I mean, they could just completely fold and quit. Yeah, Lee, I'm not trying to confuse anyone. He's in some sort of pick'em, and they gave different spreads. I'm not sure why. I didn't see any of those numbers the whole week. Like, I watched these spreads every minute of every day. I haven't seen a lot of those numbers. Like, haven't seen the Steelers Packers at 3.5 once this whole week. I've been watching it religiously. So yeah, don't let it confuse you. I'm just was trying to help Brian out. Don't panic, Lawson, my man. Great to see you. Just came back from pawning the wife's wedding ring. Well, yeah, and say the dog. Blame it on say the cat knocked it off the dresser, and and that's why it's missing. But you'll find it. You'll find it. Diggs is out for the Bills game. Yeah. Still think the Broncos are shit, though. Elvis, what are your overall thoughts on the Saints for a total season perspective and this weekend's matchup? Well, I've said many times, not to be geeky and nerdy and use a history reference, but I really do feel like the Saints are the Ottoman Empire. It's an empire that is fading, a team that's getting older before our very eyes. They don't seem to know they're done, and they still think they can swagger and go with the best of them, but they really are on the decline, and they're not handling it too well. There doesn't seem to be any sort of rejuvenation. Innocent bystander could think, Saints get Carr, there's tons of good weapons. Olave, Shaheed, Michael Thomas, Ramczyk on the offensive line, Alvin Kamara. You would think that could maybe rejuvenate it, start the car a little bit faster, but it just hasn't worked that way. And I think a lot of it's because Dennis Allen. I don't think this team is as bad as they performed, but Dennis Allen is a problem. I know the defense has looked good at times over the past 2 years, but I think they've been underperforming. Now, I do think I am cool on my Vikings this week. I do think we all got a little bit excited after what they did to Atlanta, and after watching the film, like, that was a lot of Atlanta giving the game away. And this is the Saints season on the line, but you do worry about them on the road. I mean, we did bet them against the Colts. I felt like that was a good spot. Not sure this is the best spot in the world for the Saints. And this is one I don't want to bet. Like, I am so tempted. I'm so tempted to tease the Vikings, but I can't out of respect for this Saints team and players. But it's just like, I don't think this is ever going to come together. And the reason why they're still in this is because their division is shit. So, yeah, and I honestly, man, it's hard to know where the Saints are going at this point. The problem is, I don't think they know where you're going. I mean, do you guys know where the Saints are going? I've been really disappointed with Dennis Allen's regime since he got in there, man. And Pete Carmichael, everyone talks about Matt Canada. From the offensive coordinators I've watched this year, I think Pete Carmichael's the worst offensive coordinator in the league. Jared, I love Detroit. That was the only one I changed my pick on. I like Detroit. Now that's -3, it's not as appealing, but after taking a deep breath after Tuesday's show and analyzing just how bad the Chargers played, that Garrett Wilson fumble, the punt return, like, I'm not trying to take anything away from the Chargers, but the Jets kind of gave them that game. And I'm not trying to make excuses for anything, but the Jets really did give that game like a loaf of bread to them. And yeah, that's where I'm at, man. I did mention on Tuesday's video, there have been some warning signs. Like, I know we've won every bet with the Lions this year, besides the Ravens, but we're like 5-1 in betting their games. But there are some warning signs with the Lions, especially their red zone offense. But even with that being said, I think they are a team who will benefit from the bye week a lot, like the 49ers. Both of those teams were low-key beat up in unglamorous positions. I mean, I know Deebo Samuel is obviously a glamorous player, but look at how many injuries the Lions' offensive line has had this year, and I feel like the bye week will help them, and I don't think the Chargers can stop the run, fellas. Yeah, I don't. Not sure why the Jets didn't add more creativity to running it, although it hurts when you're down like 7-0 after like fucking 3 minutes. And, I know the Jets defense is good, but am I the only one who's a little bit concerned about Herbert throwing up 135? I mean, credit to the Jets defense. We've been saying they're the best since like week 1, but, quarterback-driven league and all that puts up 135 on Monday Night Football. Okay, so here we go. Arsenio, okay, my last chance. Is this the week of teaser tickets with lots of home teams getting points? Shouldn't this be the smart play? Yes, Jose, but my problem is this league is fucking crazy, and they can be snapped in a second. But yeah, I do think there's some good teasers. Like I said, like some of the teasers I was thinking about were like Bills, Raiders, Bengals, Ravens. Those were some of the things I'm thinking about. Arsenio Lawson, I need to know if the 49ers Jags game is the college fun game. I'm trying to come up. Arsenio, I love you. Arsenio, I'll write to you on Patreon. You know I'll write to you. So give me a little bit of time. Let's get Lauren and Mike down here if they're still available. I'm going to go get another glass of soda. I'm going to send invites to you guys right now. Going to get another glass of soda. I wonder if Lauren has a player prop for us. Okay. My fucking internet is brutal tonight, man. It's absolutely brutal. What's going on here? What's going on here? I barely can even load my email up. Okay. So if they're still on, yeah, and Hound Herbert really has been off this year, and I see my internet like is with like one. Come on, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. This is fucking ridiculous, man. Okay. Ah, amor, meu internet é bem devagar. Yeah. You say. Okay. Okay, tudo bom. Yeah, I can't even load up. I can't even load up my Gmail. I can't even load up my Gmail. I'm going to compose. Can't even load it up. I don't know what's going on with my internet. I'm not sure what's going on, man. Jay Bog and all that bad talk about Lamar last week from her needs some answers. I'm trying to load my internet up. It's not. Yeah, I don't know, man. All right, we're gonna have to call it a night because this is fucking terrible. My bad, my bad, Lauren and Mike. Mike, my internet is slow. I don't know what's going on with my internet. I'm thinking I'm going to restart the live stream. I'm going to restart the live stream and then I'll invite them and see if my internet's better. So just check back in like 10, 15 minutes. My bad about that.